Hello, and welcome back to the Hot Action Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kerr, and as you can tell, I do not have my regular fancy setup. I am out of town working on a film project, so I was unable to get the regular podcast up this week. We're going to do things a bit fast and dirty this week because I don't have time to really get into it like I usually do. But that being said, let's go over what happened last week, and then we'll get on to what's going on this week. So, last week in my pick'em, I went 8-7, which was positive, but unfortunately worse than our co-host Ryan Schapp, who I will admit I owe $4,000 to based on the terms of the bet we made during the podcast. I don't know how I'm going to afford that. It's going to be tough for me. My best bets were also positive, went 3-2. Ryan went 4-1, I believe. We both picked Buffalo, so we survived in Survivor. All right, the week started out with a win. Kansas City minus 10.5. They covered with an 11-point win, so it worked out for your boy, but it was close. Took Tennessee. They lost quite significantly. Bad pick. Took Atlanta. Significant loss. Bad pick. Took San Francisco. They lost outright with a 4.5-point, 4.5-point advantage. And losing that game outright was unimpressive. New Orleans were also a favorite, and they lost outright to Houston by a touchdown. Miami covered, which was your boy's first win of Sunday. Seattle all failed to cover with a 2.5-point spread. They felt like covering all day, but they couldn't manage to close that game out. Jacksonville minus 4.5 was a win. Minnesota minus 2.5, a win. Chicago, pretty easy team to bet against so far this year. I feel like we're getting free money. Took Las Vegas over New England, another free money team, and they covered. They just barely covered a 4-point spread by 3.5 there. Detroit minus 3.5. They smoked Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay only put up 6. Not great for Tampa, but this Detroit team is I think the third best offense in the league by EPA. So they're doing good. 5-1. Then I took the Rams over Arizona. That was one of my best bets. Worked out despite some people's protestations. Arizona only put up 9 points. Not the best showing. Rams look pretty good for a 3-3 team. They're the type of team you can throw a bet on every once in a while and have it work out. Then Philadelphia, I took them minus 6.5, and they lost outright. Yeah, with the spread, they barely scored a touchdown. Jets, if you're in a survivor pool, Philadelphia and San Francisco losing this week probably helped you out a bit. Then I took Buffalo minus 14.5. They were my survivor pick. They didn't cover the spread with the amount of points they scored. They were negative 0.5 points when the game ended, so that was an impossible one to win. They made me sweat out the survivor pick. It was really, really scary stuff, but it worked in the end. Can't be too upset with that. Now, Dallas minus 2.5 against the Chargers. They squeak out a cover. Good times for all. 8-7. That was last week. This week, week 7. I posted earlier on here that I took Jacksonville plus 2.5. That worked out. Jacksonville won the game. New Orleans didn't look all that great. Then we've got starting 10 a.m., no early games this week. I took Detroit plus 2.5 at Baltimore. Both these teams are quite good. Baltimore's defense is incredible. Detroit's offense is great. How do we decide what to do here? I just take the points. Next, we've got Atlanta at Tampa. Atlanta has not impressed me. You have to give up 2.5 points to take Tampa. I will be doing that. Tampa minus 2.5. Next game is Washington at the Giants. Giants getting 1.5 points. Giants are terrible. Taking Washington minus 1.5. I don't care what I saw last week against Buffalo. Buffalo's wonky. They're a good team, but they have, every few games they have a weird result. Don't overreact. Giants are still bad. Tyrod Taylor is not a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, despite what we saw with our eyes. They're going to regress to being who we know they are. Okay. Las Vegas minus 3.5 at Chicago. Chicago's incredibly bad. They're starting, what's his name? Badgent. It's Badgent. It sounds like, a compound word that I don't even know what it means. I'll be taking Las Vegas minus 3.5. Then we got Buffalo at New England. Like I said, we are not going to overreact. You have to lay 8.5 to take Buffalo. That's what I'm going to do. New England is ass. I'm going to take Buffalo minus 8.5. Get back on that pony. Okay, Cleveland at Indianapolis. This is the end of the morning games. Cleveland minus 2.5, Indianapolis is getting 2.5. I'll be taking Cleveland. Their defense is elite. It's a really unwatchable game. We got, PJ Walker versus Minshew. I love Minshew, but that's going to be a slugfest. I'll be taking Cleveland. Then in the afternoon, we got Pittsburgh at the Rams. Rams laying 3.5 points. I will be taking the Rams. Pittsburgh on the road, I do not like. Then we got a big line. We got Arizona at Seattle. Seattle is laying 7.5 points. I'll be taking Seattle, which means if you're following along, you should probably take Arizona with the points. It's not gone well for me so far this year. Picking Seattle for or against. And we got LA Chargers at Kansas City Chiefs minus 5.5. Kansas City, I'm taking them at home. I can't bet on the Chargers. Kansas City has had trouble covering sometimes, but I'll take the trouble covering sometimes versus the team that I don't trust at all. All right. Then we've got Green Bay at Denver in the last of the afternoon games. Denver's only getting 1.5. That's why I'm taking Green Bay. Green Bay minus 1.5. Then the night game, we got Miami at Philadelphia. Miami's getting 1.5, so I'm taking Miami plus the points. I know this didn't work out for me last time. I said take Miami with the points because, they're unstoppable. It's going to work out this time, though. Don't worry. Miami plus 1.5. We got San Francisco minus 6.5 at Minnesota. I know San Francisco got banged up a bit in that last game, but Minnesota's 2-4. The San Francisco team runs up the score on everybody. Their defense is impregnable. We're going to be taking San Francisco minus 6.5. So that's all the games in terms of my pick'em. And now we're on to best bets. So I will be taking, in terms of best bets, this is tough. I'll be taking Las Vegas. I'll be taking the LA Rams. I'll be taking Cleveland. I'll be taking Kansas City. And I'll be taking Miami. All right. That's the 5 best bets. And my survivor pick for the week, which I am still in, is San Francisco 49ers. I know they're a bit banged up, but I think they will win this game. I have put my heart in the hands of Brock Purdy. Please do not break my heart, Brock Purdy. That has been the extremely fast and dirty version of the Hot Action podcast. I hope that I can get it out at the right time next week, and I hope that you guys aren't all super mad at me. This has been the Hot Action Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kerr, saying peace out.